Okay, welcome everyone to the Pro Trader Room Plus. We're here for the market open and CB consumer confidence and JOLTS. My name is Lee Goldstein, the trading director for 10-minute trades. Please remember, all the trades we discuss, I'm not a financial advisor, are for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures. Okay, just a quick reminder that pretty much everybody made money in the trade room already. All you had to do is get up early to trade UNH with us, to trade Procter& and Gamble with us, and to trade UPS with us if I didn't talk you out of that one. UNH was perfect. Um, Procter was a small. UPS was good. What else? There was one other one. I'm missing one. Procter, well, it doesn't matter. All you had to do is get up. If I get up, I say it over and over. Boeing, right. Boeing was a small profit. Um, Once again, I'll say it one more time. If we get up, if we have a trader, I am on the East Coast. Normally we start trading, most normal days, 8:30, 8 o'clock. If we have a 5:30 in the morning trade room, attend that trade room because there's going to be a good opportunity to make money. That's why we do it. I'm not getting up if there's not a good opportunity. I'm not doing it. There's no reason to do it. Let me just put the news up. The weather on the East Coast is horrifying. It felt like I was on an alien planet yesterday. The weather was so bad. When I went out riding around, I drive a scooter and I couldn't breathe. The air was so thick and so hot and so humid. It was unbelievable. And it's already unbearable today. Very, very, very hot. All right, so before we get to consumer confidence and jolts, I was thinking maybe with all the earnings we had, it might be an interesting day. Um, might be an interesting day to trade the open. But in retrospect, now looking at things, I'm not that thrilled about it. I'm going to use micros this morning, and it's a good way to. It's the first official market open room we've really had. And I want to say hello to everyone that's streaming on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Hit the like button on YouTube and especially hit the notification bell because we are not emailing about our streams anymore. We're just sending too many emails. We're trying to cut down. So you're not going to know when we're streaming unless you use your notifications through the platform, which is the normal way to do it anyway. So if I were going to trade, I like the YM on the open. I mean, I just don't feel like there's any edge on the open today for any direction. Um, the markets have been so bullish, and the NQ is up again. Another, pretty bullish day in tech. The YM not so much, but it's not bad. Boeing had good earnings. United Health had horrible earnings. Um, Procter, I don't even remember what Procter's earnings were. Were they up or down? All I was looking for was a move. I don't care if they're up or down. And I just was looking at so many different things this morning. What was I going to do here? I think my short-term memory is shot. What was I going to put on? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm going to trade MYM. And I kind of agree with Francis. The MYM is not my favorite instrument to trade. The way to make money with it is to trade more contracts. That's what you have to do with the MYM. I think the MNQ is just a much more tradable instrument. It just behaves better, and I can't really explain it. The MNQ is just a preferable instrument to trade. The YM is fine. I think the YM is fine. So you could set up a simple MNQ open. So where you just, whatever direction you get filled in, that's the direction you're going to try and trade it. So I have an open trade for the MNQ. It's a breakout, essentially. So let me load my template. What did I call it? Market open. Oh my God. I have so many templates. I have way too many templates. I gotta get rid of some. Some of them don't work anymore. They're so old. MNQ open. That's it. So my MNQ open, I'm going to trigger at 9:29.59. Yep, and as Nitin says, the NQ's at all-time highs. It makes it hard to keep going up. Eventually it stops. 30 tick bracket is all I'm using this morning. Targets of 25 and 50, and I'm just using a 100 tick stop. I might increase the stop, depends on the market. And that is my MNQ trade. If my first target gets hit, I will move my stop to break even. Target one stop move BE for break even. And I'll trade this. I'm going to dedicate account number 15 to opens. I hope I remember to do this. Account number 15, opens. I think I can do that. I should be able to do that. So 9:29, I'm going to set the time for a minute to 0, just to look at our 30 bracket. And that's perfect. Good size bracket. Put the time back to 9:29:59. So that's the MNQ on one side. And then MYM, same account. And I'm going to do a fairly similar kind of setup, believe it or not. It's going to be, I have a YM open. Let me look at that template. Pretty sure I used a 40 bracket on it. And if you're trading the open, why don't you type in the setup that you like to give some of the members that have not traded opens what's been working for you. If you'd be nice enough to type in what you're doing, even just one of your open trades, let people know what you're doing, because some of you have been trading the open much longer than I have, and my setups are not at all in stone at this moment. So YM 9:29:59 on the trigger. NQ is already moving. And I'll also do 25 and 50 ticks. Bracket of 40. Going to use a bracket of 40 on the MYM. It's not so busy right now. I'm thinking of 30 also. I'm going to leave it at 40 this morning because that's what I've been using. One position on each direction because I'm not sure. Oh no, I can trade it in this account, no problem. Stop of 40. It's MYM, forget it, 100. And then I'll adjust the stop if need be. I would not hesitate to get back into an open trade if it doesn't work initially and you just feel like you missed the direction and you know what the direction now is. Trading opens, you don't want to be afraid to jump back in at times. Look, you could double your losses too. So you just have to realize there's certainly extra risk with opens. They can be very inconsistent by their nature. And we're getting frozen orders with the YM, with the MYM, and now they're not. That was interesting. That's a problem I have not been having at the open. I have not been having issues with frozen orders or things like that. Now I will set up a reverse continue on the MNQ, add an extra strategy to the chart, reverse continue, and I'll just do it with a simple 2 contracts, 1 position, 40 tick target, 75 stop. It's a scalp. Same account, and I'll call that MNQ reverse continue. And I'll do the same thing with the YM. Let me check and make sure I put my time back to normal on the YM. I did not, so let's do that. 9:29:59 is our correct bracket time. And then I'll just set up an extra strategy on the MYM, reverse continuation. Same thing, 2 contracts, 1 position. That's the easiest way to get back in. 50 tick target, 75 on the stop. Remember, these are micros. And there's no law that says you have to get back in. And I'll call that MYM reverse continue. And then I'm not going to trade the open very long because we have CB consumer confidence, and JOLTS. And I want to concentrate on that. That's the real reason we're here. Okay? CB consumer confidence with JOLTS. Right now it looks like the market wants to test the high on the MNQ. When we traded opens years ago during the pandemic, we often saw really good moves 5 minutes before the open. Like we're seeing now. I also have I have to go back in time, go over our software. We had a very different way of trading the open using our software, something called the squeeze play. And I honestly have to refresh my memory and go back and see how to do it. I don't remember how to do it, to be honest. It's been years since I've used it. So I'll relearn it, and then I'll show a variety of different ways you can use the software to trade the open. Some of the opens will be, hang on one second. I wanted to do this on MYM. Some of the open will just be educational, some will be trade to trade. I knew those brackets would be huge. So let's see, is everything going to go burst and test the high? I was hoping the YM would go, the NQ would burst and test the high. It almost got our first target. It goes to break even, expanding the target. Ah, I tried to expand the target, but it took me out. I'm going to cancel my YM. If I don't get a quick open trade, I don't want to wait. I'm going to cancel my YM open. The NQ was perfect test of the high. MNQ, I should say, was a great test of the high, so that was a winner. And then the YM didn't really burst. Maybe it's going to go test the low, but the markets are not in sync this morning. And who cares? That's fine. Happens all the time. Um, I'm just not patient because we have this other trade room to do. Usually, I like the YM better than the NQ, but I know a lot of people are trading both. And 40 is a little bit big bracket on the YM, Calvin, but I want a commitment in direction. So I'd rather have the capability of canceling one of them in particular. YM looks like it wants to test the low. But this is the problem I had this morning. It's in the middle of the ranges. We're not in a big moving market this morning. Sometimes when that happens, you want to take your profit and smile, you know. It's not, like I said, I didn't think the open opportunity was unbelievable this morning. I like trading opens when there's extra news that might drive the market on the open, like a jobs report, something of that sort. I like that. And you could see the YM, not a great open. It wasn't a great open. Now it may, if it go and tests the low, then it would be a winning open. If it goes and tests the low, it'll be a winning open. But it's chopping. It's pretty much just chopping around. Now, I want to make something very clear. If I had a $600 or $700 winner on an earnings trade this morning, like some people have had, I would be super, super selective on any other trading I did during the day today. When the market gives you a gift like it gave in United Health, you take the gift. You don't want to give it all back. Now, it's nice to add to it. The YM is going to test this low. It's a little bit late to chase, okay? A little bit late to chase. If you would have just sat in the YM, that would have been a winning open trade. Just, it did go and test the low. Right there. It tested it. So let's see. Merck was down. They didn't move the market. Um, UPS, like I said, they moved the market. What else? United Health is down big time. Investigations, the usual with them. They're being investigated again. Um, that's a company. I don't think I'd want to be the CEO of that company. All right, folks, let's head over to. Let me change the video. So we had a nice open on the MNQ. YM tested the low if you stayed in. It's all about the amount of risk you want to take. And I'm just going to make a new separate video for JOLTS. Only takes a second. And while I'm doing this, let me talk a little bit about consumer confidence and JOLTS. So, consumer confidence has not been a good performing trade on its own, nor has JOLTS. Neither has been good performing trades. When we've been adding JOLTS, into other events. When JOLTS trades with other events, more often than not, it's been a rather badly performing event. Okay? So the issue that we're dealing with today is that both JOLTS and consumer confidence have been pretty poor, pretty poor performing trades. JOLTS has had a couple of gold breakouts recently, a couple. The only setup that we're willing to try on JOLTS, let me just get the video set, and now I'll talk in a second. Okay, welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus and the Consumer Confidence Report with the JOLTS. My name is Lee Goldstein, the Trading Director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. All right, markets are moving up. So what I was saying is that consumer confidence and JOLTS have been poor performers in general. Excuse me. The only setup that we like is a very, very risky setup, because if the news is good on both reports in one direction, then you could get a burst in the index that we're trading. Now, when you look at consumer confidence, has been trading terribly. Look at that. Terrible. All right. That's not consumer confidence always with JOLTS. Today it's with JOLTS. It only traded with consumer confidence also in April. All right. April and today. Otherwise, it doesn't usually trade with JOLTS. But consumer confidence on its own has been a very poor gold breakout, as evidenced by the DMM. You would not trade a gold breakout on consumer confidence by itself. Here's the interesting thing that I believe today. I think that consumer confidence, that JOLTS will take precedence. It's a report the market is actually paying more attention to. But when all is said and done, if you ignore consumer confidence, you're making a big mistake. We have a big ES trap, big to keep us safe. We would need almost an 80 tick burst to stop us out on a trap trade. I will take the risk on an ES trap trade on this report, recognizing it could easily blow through the stop, as just as easily as it could be a great trade. So when you press the button and you accept responsibility, just understand this is a pretty risky event, because we've got two events that haven't been performing well. You can also get, you can definitely get a breakout for all on JOLTS and consumer confidence. You could get an instance where just everything breaks out and it's a fantastic breakout trade. But you saw the way these reports have been behaving as breakouts. They've been behaving poorly. But if you're a trader and you say to yourself, okay, look, I realize these reports aren't great to trade, but there's always a possibility of a breakout. What should I do? I could trade an M&Q breakout with like a 40 tick bracket or a 50 tick bracket. You could do that. I wouldn't try to talk you out of it. You could trade an MES breakout, with a 25 bracket, something of that sort. You could. But our testing shows that these reports reverse like crazy And if we can keep ourselves within a range that doesn't go through the stop, we should be able to take advantage of a change in direction. So if you want to take less risk, trade the trap trade with the MES and use a 50 stop. All right? Or a 40 stop would be okay. Now, I care, but we have a whole bunch of prop accounts. And one of them I said I'm going to try to dedicate to earnings. I've got another one that's new, and I'll dedicate that to more experimental, higher risk trades. All right. So I have three prop accounts that we'll use pretty regularly. One will be this is the one I want to try and get funded on as hard as possible. Number two will be this is I'll take most every trade in this one, no matter how risky it is. And then number three, I have one for opens. Nitin, I record almost every single thing I do. I'm sorry. Almost every single thing I do in the trade room. Now, for me, it's because I do so many webinars, I need the recordings, but there's nothing more helpful than looking at the way you did something a week later. I highly recommend that everybody record their trades. Everyone should record their trades. So we need the ES on this chart. Now we do have a webinar with Traders Corner on Thursday. Going to do mostly software in that webinar and charts, showing people how to set the charts up, which I just did for us in our recent webinar, but I've never done it on Traders Corner. It's a different audience, so I'm going to concentrate on setting charts up using the software. All right, so the ES, I'm going to set up a trap trade. And remember, if we get a burst in one direction, that will be the biggest problem. 9:59:55 is the trigger time. The stop is 25. It's a lot of risk. And tier 1 is 30. Tier 2 is 50. We need a pretty decent size move, okay, to get filled. Almost 8 points. And like I said, I'm going to trade this in number 17 is going to be my risk account. I have to remember that. Number 17. So I'm going to apply it and okay it. Make sure my chart trader is on 17 and turn on my trap trade. My trap trade is ready to go. I'm going to put a gold chart on. Actually, gold is on 12 now. If we go to new and we look at the market analyzer that I've created here, and we put the gold contract on it, 8 is the previous. Why does it have so much volume when we've already rolled over? That's a lot of volume for a rollover. Gold is on 12. It is higher volume, but you've still got way more volume than I would have thought on the 8 contract on August. December is about a quarter more volume though. So you want to be GC 1225. And like I said, I'm not trading gold, I'm watching it. Normally, I would expect a big move from it. I would definitely expect a big move from it on this report. All right. Now, Nitin, you traded, I'm just curious, you traded regular gold at the 9:30 open. Is that what you're saying? Which is a nice time to trade regular gold. It's a good time to trade anything, really, in a lot of ways. Markets move at the opens. Don't forget that there are other opens to trade. You have the gold open at 8:20. You have the oil open at 9. You've got the 6 p.m. Eastern Time open of the futures, the reopening. Tiers 30 and 50, Calvin. I'm using tiers of 30 and 50, stop of 25, so we have a 75 tick zone of safety. That means if we go more than 75 ticks on the news, we're going to get stopped out. Now we're in a pretty tight range today. Maybe the market's going to stay in a tight range. The last time we traded JOLTS and consumer confidence, it was not that big of a move. Let me see if I'm right about that. Let's look at our spike sheet because we do have one. And we made a special spike sheet this week. We made a consumer confidence ES trap and a JOLTS trap. And JOLTS is the much more volatile trade. April would have been perfect for our setup today. There were 2 Aprils, a March, a February. January, February, March, April would have been perfect setups. The last two jolts have not filled the trap, but we're with consumer confidence today, so I expect to get filled. But I like our setup. I like our setup. You got to go back to September to have a setup that would have stopped us out. That was a 95 tick move. That's a long time ago. It's almost a year. So I like our setup. Consumer confidence is a much smaller trap trade, not as good of a reversal as JOLTS. Okay? Because over the past year, there's been 3 that didn't reverse. But when it does reverse, they're good. They are good. It doesn't really make sense to look at a whole bunch of JOLTS videos because we're not trading the normal way that we trade. Let me pull up, let me see if I have April. I should have pulled that up before. So what I am noticing is if we do not send the email for people to stream, then our stream is much more poorly attended. So, people complain about getting too many emails. That's the frustration. I feel bad because people do complain. But if we don't get attendance, then I'll go back to sending the emails. Right? Not because we're creeps or anything, but we want people to come. Just looking at some of the news also that's coming across the wires and stuff. Most of the news is earnings. That's the news. There's not a lot of bad news, if you know what I mean. There's not a lot of tweeting at the moment. Mostly I'm just reading earnings news. All right. What was the CTV? What was the CTV seminar? Which one was that? Oh, an options seminar? I never heard of them. I never did a lot with options. I did a very short stint with options. It didn't fit my psychological profile. I did not enjoy trading options. I really found it complicated and confusing. Trade with me now? Okay. I really found options confusing and hard to trade. I did not enjoy it. I didn't, I have to be honest, I never understood what was going on. And I just couldn't motivate myself to put the time in. I didn't like it enough that I wanted to put the time in. Here's April, JOLTS with consumer confidence. We had a gold trap and we had an ES trap also. And we had a gold breakout. I think I traded the gold trap and just waited for the news on the ES, it looks like. So the gold trap filled and reversed really fast. And you could see the ES did a whipsaw. That's why we like traps on it. I wish I had $1 for every trade room. I wonder how many trade rooms there are. There was a guy, I don't get emails from him anymore, and he's was very a little bit controversial. And now I can't believe I can't think of his name. He used to review all the trade rooms. Dean, does anyone know who I'm talking about? Dr. Dean Handley. Yep. I have not received an email from him in ages, ages, ages. Um, he used to do trade room reviews, and but he had a conflict, I believe, because he was involved with a company that was doing a trade room. At least that's what people said. I don't know that to be true, but I used to really enjoy his reviews, but he never liked anybody's trade room. Nobody's. Larry, I'm not going to repeat that, but tell me why you think that. Tell me why you think that. I really want to know. And which Larry are you? What's your first initial of your last name? First initials, just so I want to know who I'm talking to. I think I know which Larry, but I'm curious. Okay. I'm not going to repeat all that because we're online. Um, okay. I remember hearing that. I remember hearing that some people claimed that. Yeah. Yep. Yep. I I don't think he mentioned us a couple of times. Never horrifying. Didn't love me. Didn't hate us. Didn't like us. Okay. Yeah. Larry. Yeah. 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 Larry, I hope you're doing okay. It's been a while. I haven't seen you around much. I hope you're all right. All right. So you could see that the ES gold was a trap. The ES was a whip. All right. So I think our setup is the right setup for this event as long as we don't get a breakout for all. That's the concern. Make sure. on a make sure make Calvin, is that true or you're just BSing me on that? Yeah, it's BS, right? That's BS. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. It really doesn't. There could be a reason for that. Anyway, everybody, people are really funny on here, and I enjoy the humor more than I enjoy anything else about trading, other than making money. When we make money, that's the best, but the humor is a close second. A close second. So we're watching the ES to see if we can get away with our trap trade. Remember, on the chart, when you enable a trap trade, you have a break even button, a close the trade button, and adjust the tiers button, which we don't use. But we do have an important button called cancel the outer tier. Cancel the outer tier. Okay? Now, if you get it fill and only one of the orders fills, and at some point you want to move your stop into profit, you will have to use the cancel outer tier button to get the extra order that didn't fill out of the way of your stop. That's what the cancel outer tier button does. I will talk through the trap trade as I trade it, like I normally do. And then one more time on the setup. In order to see the setup, I have to disable it. One position for position one position for position two. Activating at 9:59:55. It's a 10 o'clock event. 25 stop. Tier 1 is 30. Tier 2 is 50. I'm trading it in a prop account, in my highest risk prop account, because this I consider um, an unknown, because we have not got many results where JOLTS and consumer confidence trade together. So there's a lot of unknown behavior that could take place. I do think that JOLTS is the prime mover on this report, news report, but I think consumer confidence is still very important. They're expecting an extremely good consumer confidence reading. And I'm not going to do any ranting at all about inflation. We'll save that for all the inflation reports this week. I did buy a Jeep. I'll send everybody a picture. TJ, where you been? Where you been? Are you mad at us or what? So I got the blue Jeep. I did get the blue Jeep. I don't get any ducks. I haven't driven it. I got it like 2 weeks ago. I had driven it once. I've only driven it once. It's been scooter weather. I've been riding my scooter like constantly. It's been too hot to get in a car. It's literally been too hot to get in a car. That's how hot it's been. Thank you for that info. So, um, Langford was saying he's had no freezing at all on the opens. He's had no freezing on the opens. It wasn't the Jeep I really wanted, to be honest. Um, but I knew I wasn't going to drive much, so I didn't want to spend a fortune on a Jeep. It just made no sense. I just don't drive that much. I just hated my Ford EcoSport, and I didn't want to be buried, and then my kids would have to find a buyer from a Ford EcoSport. Here comes the trade. So the trap orders are going to show up in 5 seconds. Shrink them down so I can manage the trade if we get the opportunity. The news is now out. JOLTS is a little bit worse than expected, but we're just not getting much of a response. Consumer confidence, I'm not seeing a number. 97.2. I cannot believe this is a non-event, folks. It's a non-event. I have to cancel this because there's nothing to reverse. There's nothing to reverse. You don't really want to wait and just get filled in a dribble. It's not the way to trade this event. Okay? It's not the way to trade this event. I'm canceling the trap. I always wait a minute just in case there's an insane burst. But this is a non event. Non event. I'm in shock. Cancel the trap. Cancel the trap by checking the enabled box. Turn it off. Gold, it had a little bit of a jolt. 72, $2, not even. 18 ticks, it looks like. Um, Larry, you traded gold. Looks like there might have been like 10 ticks, maybe, depending what your bracket was. I don't know how you got any profit out of that, to be honest. You got to tell me what you did. I just don't know how you got any profit out of that. Listen, everybody, nobody did anything wrong. Sometimes you just get a quiet response to a report that we think really matters. Both of these reports, I promise, in September, it's summer. July and August are the weirdest trading months. Lots of traders don't even trade July and August. We do because earnings are still fun. There's still plenty of opportunity. You'll see this week, maybe we're too busy in the trade room. Maybe the approach should have been just trade like the best of the best reports this week and leave everything else alone and do that for the rest of the summer. But I figured, I've been doing this for 8 years. This is unusual. This is unusual. I got you, Larry. Okay, so didn't even hit your first target, but you moved your stop to break even. I got you. Okay, +1. I want to thank everyone on YouTube. Hit that notification bell so you know the next time that we are streaming. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, there's a whole bunch of links in the chat. You can join us on Traders Corner Thursday. You could become a member of the trade room. There's a link for that as well. So thanks on YouTube, and we'll see you. We'll be streaming tomorrow. FOMC, I believe.